is my privilege to introduce our speaker for today. I know na inaantay nyo na siyang makilala, and she is a registered psychometrician. Aside from that, she is also an author, motivational speaker, and an online edu creator. She got the top spot in 2013 Civil Service Examination. She also started making free content on YouTube to help people pass aptitude exam like civil service exam and college entrance exam. She teaches review classes in different parts of the country and various government agencies. She was selected as one of the YouTube Next Up winners for year 2017. She was also invited as the only Filipino panelist and moderator for YouTube EduCon held in New Delhi, India last 2018. In addition, she was chosen as one of the YouTube and United Nations Development Programs creator for Change Ambassadors for Asia Pacific countries. And she continues to create educational content about math, English, logic, and other stuffs. Now, let us welcome our speaker for today, Coach Lyqa Maravilla, RPM, for her talk about building courage, confidence, and risk-taking skills.
Hi everyone, good morning. Can you hear me?
Good
Yes
morning
po. Good
po.
morning po.
Okay, so let me just share my screen para makapag-start na tayo. But anyway, let me just start out with this. It's always an honor to be invited sa mga events like this. And one of the things that I'm grateful for is the fact na with, again, the onset ng COVID-19 pandemic, and again, it's far from ideal, no? Pero one of the perks is that I get to be with you today. Di ba? Kasi we talk about Region 4, travel pa rin. Like, I'm in QC. Kung ang event ninyo is 8 a.m., what that would mean would be kanina madaling araw, nasa biyahe ako papunta sa inyo so I could be there. Alam niyo naman, dadaan tayo sa maraming traffic, no? Pero ngayon, ayun, I get to be with you kahit na nasa bahay lang ako. And I get to reach more people. I will be with another set of students later on from a different region entirely in the Philippines. And I'm grateful. Honestly, I'm just grateful to be with you today. So, after that gracious introduction, let's jump right into yung talk natin ngayon. From building to being, confidence, courage, and calculated risk-taking. So, medyo nire-word ko lang yung ibinigay sa akin na topic, but it's going to be the same thing. I just want to stress this, no? Bakit? Kasi, I guess in life, there are things that were defined for us when we were growing up, and things that we need to redefine for ourselves. And ilan sa mga yon would be, yung confidence, courage, at saka risk-taking. Kasi in a lot of ways, may mga cautionary tales dito, may mga experiential na mga bagay, and we have to rethink kung ano yung mga lessons na we can glean from it. Now, again, you already gave me an introduction, so hindi na ako magtatagal dito. Pero one thing na gusto ko i-assert is that in many ways, I'm just like you. I'm just also trying to find my way in this world. And what that means would be all of the things that we tag dun sa names natin. These are things na I know you can accomplish at kaya nyo rin higitan kasi you're younger than me. And I'm actually excited for that. I'm grateful na ang ambag ko would be for you to be propped up by the things that we can share, kami yung generation namin. And then I hope that you can build on top of that. Hindi na natin kailangan na magsimula sa zero all the time. Okay? And it's a really difficult time right now. And I know we're all trying our best, but for the next few minutes, I hope you stay with me. The ideal yung situation, maybe some of you talagang na apektuhan talaga kayo ni Ulysses, no? Zandy, who you've been in contact with in planning this event, is also from Region 4, kaya talagang kahit 8 a.m. yung event, nag-yes siya. And I know that may mga ilan siguro sa inyo who were directly affected. So for those of you who are, again, that's all I can do right now would be to make sure that the next few minutes will be worth your while. Okay, so dito muna tayo. Let's start with this. I hope you don't mind na I started with a verse. This is from Ephesians 5:15 and 16. It says, be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Now, why did I use this verse to start off itong conversation na ito? I want to stress the fact that this was written more than 1,000 years ago, definitely, diba? So thousands of years ago. Pero the line there, and yung truth that it holds is still true hanggang ngayon. And it's also odd that you find the line because the days are evil in something that was written thousands of years ago. And it's still true hanggang ngayon, 'di ba? Nung sinasabi ang konteksto nito na the days are evil then, akala nila it was the worst of times. Pero in many ways, 'di ba, again, things are only getting worse. But there are things that are outside of our control. And for those, anong pwede nating gawin? Kung wala tayong masyadong magagawa about it, we can't fix it, it's not in our control, then what we can do as wise people would be to make the most out of every opportunity. That's what we aim to do here. We are not advocating false positivity. We're not trying to turn our heads away from the difficult situations or the hard truths in life, but we are trying to do our best to make the most of our given opportunities. This is one of those. Okay, so doon nanggagaling yung courage, confidence, at saka yung calculated risk-taking. Nilagay ko yung word na calculated dun sa risk-taking kasi hindi, we have to redefine things nga, no? So, ililimit natin yun. We'll talk about that later. Now, let me just show you this photo, no? And it's still hard for me to look at. Simply because behind this photo is a lot of struggles in a very long and arduous journey. When people look at photos like this of me speaking in front of hundreds, thousands of people, ang instant na remark usually is, wow, buti ka pa, ang confident mo. O, di ba? O kaya, ang galing mo naman mag-speak. O kaya, buti hindi ka kinakabahan. And usually when people say that sa akin, na wow, ang confident mo naman, ang galing mo magsalita. You're saying things like, you're 100% sold sa mga sinasabi mo. When people throw compliments at me, it actually makes me feel bad. And if you're not familiar with that, it's because I struggle with imposter syndrome. Now, hindi imposter as in Among Us, no? May mga nag-a-Among Us ba sa inyo? Baka nakalaro nyo na ako nang hindi nyo alam. Pero ang imposter syndrome works like this, no? Even the people who are kahit papaano good at what they do, they feel na they are inadequate. Sa context ko, even if people tell me na, wow, you're confident, you're a good public speaker, I'm fixated on the things na hindi ako magaling at. So, I stutter, kinakabahan ako. Like right now, malamig yung kamay ko. Tapos kanina, I was kind of freaking out bago ako nag-come on screen. So, I know na parang hindi ako yung confident person that they're complimenting. And I struggle a lot with this. And the past few weeks, mas malala than usual. Simply because, again, I've been thrust sa stages or different stages ng world, no? And there are milestones that Team Lyqa is crossing. We passed yung 1 million mark a few weeks back. And with every success comes this new feeling ng imposter syndrome. And I'm actually grateful then that I got to talk to you and I got to be invited to this event today kasi it helped sort out some of my own thoughts about myself. And it starts with this picture. And when I said that I can't even bear to look at myself sa mga ganitong klaseng photos, and I wouldn't post anything like this if it weren't part of my advocacy or part of what I'm speaking out. I mean that 100%, no? Bakit? Kasi one thing na nag-click sa akin while preparing itong talk na to is the fact that I am not a confident person. Okay? I am not a confident person. I'm not a courageous person. But, merong but laging may but sa dulo. But that shouldn't keep me from doing the good I do. And because I struggle with this a lot, I'm able to share with you what I do to overcome things. Okay? Na how can someone who has social anxiety, who has persistent depressive disorder, someone who stutters, bulol ako for the first part of my life. There's this running joke in the family na may ninong ako, ang pangalan niya Jojo. And ang pronunciation ko is Shosho. I still can pronounce yung word na Filipino for rat. Kasi meron siyang D at saka G na magkasunod. Kapag sinabi ko yung daga ng 10 times, mabubulol at mabubulol ako. So I have to prepare myself every time I say it, no? Kasi nga, sobrang bulol ko. I don't have a hard R. But people call me a motivational speaker. People call me a public speaker. So how did that happen? And ito yung nag-click sa akin, no? So ito yung gagawin natin today. We're going to transition things. So the goal is to build, to be, to become. Okay, ulitin ko yun na. We're going to build, to be, to become. How do we do that? Now, let me explain. The idea would be like this. There's a timeline, okay? Or there's a movement towards a certain point. You can start with yung noun, okay? The noun is yung starting area. These are things that you have, okay? And then ang goal natin is for something that you're building, something that you are acquiring or gathering for yourself to be applied. So we are going to turn the noun into a verb, okay? Ang verb is action word. It has to be something that you do. And then once it's turned into an action word, we're going to turn it into an adjective. Now, the idea of an adjective is it's something that you are. It's a descriptive word. Ibig sabihin, more than something that you have or something that you do, it becomes something that you are. It becomes part of your identity. So sa case ko, okay, when it comes to, sabihin natin confidence, when it comes to speaking on stage, confidence is something that I had to build. And being confident is something that I have to be in order for people to start calling me confident. Okay? So yun yung transition natin. Okay? Hanggang maging part siya ng identity ninyo. Because one thing that I keep saying is this, identity isn't found, it's made. Ibig sabihin nun, you get to pick and choose or be involved in molding the person that you want to be. So if you don't feel confident or courageous right now, if you don't feel like you can do things right now, that's okay. But don't let that fear or that limitation become part of your identity. Kasi you can always change. We have to relearn yung konsepto ng acquisition ng skills, acquisition ng personality traits. It's really not fixed. And trust me, I'm a psychologist. No? Hindi naman psychologist na RPSci, no? Pero I'm a psychometrician. Trust me when I say that personality changes. And with that comes the entire plate of skills and traits that you can acquire. Yun yung goal natin ngayon, okay? So let's start with, again, the concept of building something, acquiring something, being something, until you become that something, okay? Now, ano yung tatlong pag-uusapan natin? Again, it's courage, confidence, and calculated risk-taking. We're going to start with courage, okay? But before we do that, I just want to encourage you by saying this, you can't improve in anything you haven't even tried. So hopefully after this, and I know this is the second day of your leadership seminar, it's the second day, so it's going to be like the synthesis of everything you learned. But more than having head knowledge, I implore you to try to apply this as soon as possible, okay? So let's just try. Let's give it a shot. I don't want you to enter this conversation na parang, hindi naman talaga ako confident, hindi talaga ako courageous, or ayoko talaga nagsasalita, no? Kaya baka yung mga host natin, baka pinilit nyo lang sila na mag-host, no? Hindi tayo dapat ganun. Huwag tayo malimit ng mga thoughts natin or predilections natin or presupposed na ideas natin about ourselves. You have to try, okay? So I hope it opens your mind, and now we can try. Okay, so again, the goal here would be to turn courage into being courageous. So every part ng talk na to, we're going to do yung ating self-check. Okay, self-check. Ibig sabihin, nasan ka ngayon? Are you building up your courage? Ibig sabihin, nag-acquire ka pa lang ng courage as a noun? Are you being courageous right now? So you're choosing to use that courage that you built up? Or are you courageous na? As in, that is already part of your identity. Or yan na yung description mo sa sarili mo at description ng ibang tao sa'yo. Nasaan kayo ngayon? Now, ang beauty nito is that there is no wrong answer. Like, kung nasa first stage ka, second stage, or third stage, that's okay. Kung minsan nasa third stage ka pero nagre-regress ka or bumabalik ka sa second or first, that's also okay. But we have to be honest with ourselves. And itong entire talk na ito, itong entire program na ito is rooted doon that we have to be honest with ourselves. So sa akin, for example, I can say that I am actually being courageous right now. Okay? I'm a bit shaky, nervous. I always am. But I'm choosing to be courageous because I want to talk to you or I think na merong value yung message na i-share ko sa inyo. Yun yung ginagawa ko ngayon. Ikaw, nasan ka dyan? Okay? So are you building up your courage? Are you being courageous? Or are you courageous per se? So, titingnan na natin now. Now na meron na tayong idea nung timeline, ano na yung pwede natin gawin? Now, let me introduce to you itong idea ng fear at saka anxiety. Kasi when we talk about courage, it's usually paired with fear. But one thing we have to emphasize is that fear and anxiety are different. Fear is an emotional response to a known or definite threat. Ibig sabihin, the danger is real, definite, and immediate. When we talk about fear, ibig sabihin meron tayong kinakatakutan talaga. May maituturo ka na physical and imminent na danger. Ang anxiety is different because it's a diffuse, unpleasant, vague sense of apprehension. It's often a response to an imprecise or unknown threat. Ibig sabihin nun, when we talk about natatakot ako, or wala akong courage, I lack courage to do things. Do you lack courage because of fear or because of anxiety? Kasi those two things are different and they have to be treated differently. Now, if it is anxiety that you have, again, it's a response to an imprecise or unknown threat. Ibig sabihin, kahit na wala namang totoong risk or kahit wala namang dapat totoong katakutan, you still feel the same way. I'm not saying it's wrong, ha? I'm just saying there's a different path for that. For example, sa akin, I'm a little bit anxious right now speaking to you kasi syempre, you're a new set of people, di ba? You're strangers to me. So I'm always a little bit anxious. But it's not fear. Bakit? Kasi even if I mess up today or mabulol ako, I know wala naman kayong gagawin sigurong negative sa akin. No? So wala namang immediate na threat. But I still am anxious. Now, why do we need to talk about this? Because we have to understand that most of the time, it's fearing fear that is scarier than the fear itself. So if we talk about you being afraid to, say, speak in public or create your own YouTube channel or post anything at all on social media or face the actual problems that you have in your life, are you afraid because of fear or are you anxious? Kasi if you're fearing fear, then we have to really unpack that. Kasi kung takot ka lang sa takot, medyo abstract yung approach na yan. Pero if your fear is legitimate, if it's actual fear, then there are things that we can do to address that. We can do desensitization, we can help mitigate yung fear natin by removing yung source of fear, okay, or fixing the actual problem. But you have to be honest with yourself. Bakit ka natatakot? Okay? Now, bakit natin kailangan pag-usapan yun? Kasi, and this is something I posted a few months ago, no? Be nervous, be scared, be unsure, but do it anyway. And I say that coming from this point nga, na I'm always scared, I'm always nervous, I'm always afraid. I just do it anyway. And I'm grateful, honestly, that I'm like this in many ways. Although, minsan inconvenient. I was just talking to Zandy, sabi ko, sana sana naiingit ako sa ibang tao, yung sobrang confident nila minsan kahit na alam mo mali yung sinasabi nila or kahit na wala naman, parang bakit sila ganun ka-confident in something that you know is not true, parang ganun. Naiingit ako sa mga taong ganun. Sabi ko, kung ganun siguro ako, baka mas marami akong nagagawa. But Zandy, in her wisdom, said na parang, maybe the reason why I do the things that I do, it's because ganito ako. And I'm also grateful that ganito ako kasi any one of you who tells me na, ako coach, natatakot ako, I'm anxious, I'm scared, na mapahiya ako, I can tell you for a fact na it's okay to be scared. Bakit? Kasi again, and you've heard this said a million times before in many different ways, that courage isn't the absence of fear. But it doesn't end there. Okay? Ano yung kasunod nito? Here's what I offer up to you. It is persistence despite the existence of fear. Courage is the persistence, ibig sabihin nagpapatuloy ka, despite the existence of fear. Na kahit nandyan yung fear, kahit nag-exist siya, na-acknowledge ko siya, I'm staring at it right in my face, I have to persist. Now, bakit tayo nagpe-persist? Bakit tayo nangungulit? Bakit tayo nagko-continue? Why do we do things anyway, even if we're scared? Now, the reason is this, okay? Because having persistence and knowing your purpose, they have a direct correlation. We persist because we have a purpose. We know our why. So if you find yourself unable to persist or unable to conquer your fear, one of the questions that I ask people na nagpapapayo sa akin is this: how much do you really want it? Like, if there's something that scares you so much and you're not doing anything, or you're not taking a step towards it, bakit ka natatakot? Okay? But more than that, bakit hindi ka nakakaharap ng courage to go against that fear? Maybe you're not sold on the idea. Okay? Maybe you don't see the value in it right now. Ibig sabihin nun, you have to look at your purpose first. Kasi if you know your why, everything else will follow. Okay? There is a quote. I forget kung sino yung philosopher who said that, but that's basically what he said. If you know your why, yung how will be easy. Okay? And that is why we start with this. So the question is, what is your why? But if, for example, you still don't know your why or your purpose in life, that's okay. And again, purpose can come in many forms or come in many ways sa different times in life. But one thing na nakita ko na recurring for us Filipinos is this: if you don't have a particular why yet, you can look at the who's in your life. Who is your why? Kasi sa akin din, kung sasabihin natin na purpose ko lang in life, for example, my purpose is to democratize education in the Philippines. I know it's a grand purpose. I know it's a great dream. But in many ways, nakakapagod habulin yung purpose na yun. But if I look at the who's behind my why, it gives me motivation. It gives me purpose, and it pushes me to push past my fear. So sino ba yung mga who behind my why? Ang who behind my why is every person who watches my videos, every person who gets to pass an exam, magkakaroon sila ng promotion, uunlad yung pamumuhay nila. And we've had thousands, honestly, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds na nga of thousands of people who shared those stories with me since I started creating videos. And because of those people behind my purpose, I get to do this. And I have to pick myself up every time I feel too anxious to do anything because I need to do it. I'm sold on my purpose, and because I'm sold on my purpose, I persist regardless of yung aking fear. Okay? So that is my dream for you. I want you to find a purpose, and I want you to find the people who motivate you, the people behind your purpose. And then, hopefully after that, the house will follow. Okay? Hindi yung house na bahay, but the house of your life and how you fulfill your purpose would follow. So look around. Like, it doesn't have to be so many people naman. It can be depth of relationship. The people who are rallying behind you, pamilya mo. If you want to study really hard because gusto mo umangat yung pamumuhay ninyo, that is a good purpose. That was my mother's purpose. And na-fulfill niya yung purpose na yun. Kasi ngayon, hindi kami natatakot na, alam mo yun, hindi kami makapagbayad ng renta at mapalayas kami sa bahay. Kasi meron lang kaming kahit paano sense of security because my mother worked hard for it. Because that was her purpose. And her purpose is different from mine. So kayo rin, kahit kayo, kung ano man ang sitwasyon nyo ngayon, you're a student leader, iba rin ang purpose mo sa akin. Iba ang purpose mo sa mga kasama ninyo sa leadership or kasama ninyo sa organizations, classmates ninyo. So you really have to find your why. Okay, so again, what is your why? Who is your why? We'll start off with that. That is the key to finding the courage to overcome your fear. Now, let's move on to confidence naman. So the transition would be building your confidence, and then being confident until you become confident. Okay? So again, yun yung self-check natin. Nasaan kayo ngayon? Are you currently building up your confidence? Are you being confident, as in you're choosing to become confident or to be confident right now? And ang next question would be, are you currently confident? As in, when people describe you, do they use the word confident ba? Okay? Now, sa akin, again, I can't say na I am a confident person. Okay? People often perceive me as that. Pero that's only because I try my best to be confident every time na kailangan ko maging confident. And again, babalik yan dun sa, i-hearken natin dun sa fact na I'm sold on my purpose. Ibig sabihin, 100% ako, dedicated ako sa purpose ko. I know what I do matters. But more than that, getting to the point that I have enough confidence to speak to you, kahit nasa virtual scene lang tayo, has also been a journey for me. Now, yung how do I gain confidence is a question na madalas na binabato sa akin or madalas na tinatanong sa akin. So where does confidence come from? And I did my own research about this. So I read a lot of journals din. I have a full video on YouTube na rin on, I think the title is Kaba. So building your confidence when it comes to speaking. And nagulat ako when I found yung mga articles published about confidence. Kasi ang idea ko of confidence dati is ano siya, trait siya. Ibig sabihin either you're born with it or not. Pero apparently hindi. Hindi rin siya ganun. You can also increase your confidence over time. So saan ba siya nanggagaling? So I'll break it down into smaller bits for you today. Ang first source of confidence is prior experience. So, nire-reword ko lang para lahat sila mag-start with P. Okay? Prior experience. Ibig sabihin nun, I can say that I've done this before. If it's something na nagawa mo na dati, kahit on a smaller scale, it will help build your confidence. Kaya nga, very important to start ngayon eh. Even with the little things, with the little responsibilities, kung ang goal mo lang or ang task mo lang is to check attendance, okay lang yan. That's a good thing and that's a good start. Because the more experiences that you have or gather na medyo related dun sa bigger task na kailangan mong i-achieve, mas magkakaroon ka ng confidence. For example, sa akin, yung confidence ko right now speaking to you, although it's a little bit shaky, it's coming from the fact that I've done this before. It may not be this exact talk right now kasi it's the first time na I'm giving this talk like this. Ito yung unang beses na itatakal ko tong topic na ito. Pero I've done a talk way more times na before. Actually, katatapos lang din kahapon sa ibang student org naman. It may be a different topic, pero I've done this before. I've already spoken sa ibang mga settings. And because of that, meron akong confidence kahit pa paano. Another source of confidence would be preparation. And this is very important. This is very important because a lot of people think that if you're confident, you don't need to prepare. When in fact, if you prepare, you will be more confident. So ano yung ibig sabihin ng preparation? You have to be able to say na, oh, I did my part. For example, again, doing this talk, I did my part I prepared. So itong PowerPoint presentation na to, ni-run ko siya ng over and over kasi chinek ko pa yung mga animation, everything else. So I did my part preparing for this talk. Okay? And because of that, I can bank on it and I can be confident. Kasi kung hindi ka nag-prepare, hindi ka ready, hindi mo alam yung material mo, hindi mo alam yung sasabihin mo, wala kang outline in your head, mas mahirap to wing it. Kasi wala kang confidence. Kasi alam mo nga, in your heart, na hindi ka prepared. Again, it's very important to be brutally honest with yourself. Now, another thing would be positivity. And I'm saying this, na i-acknowledge natin na this is different from false positivity or toxic positivity, ha? When we talk about positivity when it comes to confidence, ang context niya is knowing that I will be okay. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, no matter what, I will be okay. This will be okay. Okay? It'll turn out fine. It may not be great, it may not be good, but at least it's okay. And if you have that level of positivity, nababawasan yung fear, na-alleviate yung fear natin, and we gain confidence. Kasi nga, alam mo naman, ginawa ko yung part ko eh. Alam ko naman, nagawa ko na to dati. So I will be okay. I'll just do my best. Okay? Now, the thing is, most people know this, etong tatlong to. Hindi na bago to yung idea na in order for you to be confident, dapat mag-prepare ka, dapat meron kang previous experience, and dapat positive thinking, no? But one of the things that surprised me when I did my research dito for that video, yung nga kakaba, nagulat ako that one of the key factors when it comes to building your confidence is actually having a person. Okay? And this is very hard for me to wrestle with kasi for most of my life, although I have an identical twin sister, no, I do a lot of things on my own. So I'm very independent. I take pride in being independent. I don't want to rely on anyone else. Nagulat ako that confidence comes from knowing that you are loved. Di ba parang ang romantic, poetic, parang hindi practical yung advice na yun. But it's true. If you know that you are loved, if you know that someone loves you unconditionally, someone accepts you unconditionally, you will be more confident. And again, i-hearken natin dun sa fact na, di ba, alam niyo yung joke sa Philippines, sabihin nila, okay lang love naman ako ng mama ko. it's true. If you know that someone loves you unconditionally, you will be more confident. Bakit? Kasi, alam mo, no matter what the outcome is, mahal ka pa rin ng tao na yun. Hindi magbabago yun. Now, ito yung bagay na we have to wrestle with. Like, paano po, coach, kung wala akong maisip na tao na nagmamahal sa akin unconditionally? Right? What if my parents have a very high expectation of me? So, natatakot ako mag-fail dahil nga sa kanila. So, I can't say na they love me unconditionally. And this is something I can kahit pa paano relate with and relate to. Kasi when I was growing up, that was also my belief that the people around me, they love me for my talents. They love me because I'm smart. They love me because I do well in school. And taking all of that away, pag hindi ako nag-effort, hindi na nila ako mamahalin. Kasi ang mahal nila sa akin is yung potential ko, hindi ako. Okay? And these are things na actually ngayon ko lang din sinasabi out loud and naging cathartic din kasi sa akin yung podcast. So I have a podcast, yung Trying Hard with Lyqa podcast. Ano siya, open heart surgery siya sa akin. And doing all the episodes that we have right now, and I'm sure pretty much yung mga susunod pa, forced me to take a deep dive into my own heart. And that is why I'm able to say this with you, to you guys. Na, yeah, I used to believe that people don't love me for who I am. They just loved what they get from me. Kasi I help them with their studies, I encourage them, I motivate them. Pero if I'm weak, if I'm falling short, they wouldn't love me anymore. It took me decades to get to this point. I can confidently say na even if I fail spectacularly, there will be a handful, maybe one or two nga lang of people who still love me. And I wish that for you. Now, if hindi tao, and you believe in God, then let God be that person. That person who loves you unconditionally, no matter what. Okay? And whether you believe in the Bible or any other religious book, you would see that one thing in common sa lahat ng persons of the gods that people worship. Yung may air quotes na gods that people worship, it's that God loves you. That's the first and maybe summation na or most important message of the Bible. So I hope you find that. So ibig sabihin nun, again, veering from the metaphysical a little bit, how do I get confidence then? If I'm faced with a decision or with a huge project that I'm going to undertake, saan ako kukuha ng confidence, coach? Now, papasok na tayo dun sa self-talk. Okay? And again, I'm sharing this to you kasi I do this. Like, I did this just before I started speaking to you. I have to recall all of these things. Number one, I tell myself, ano ba yung prior experience? You've done this before. So if you have to face a mirror and do the self-talk, do it. And yeah, I do it every time I speak in public. So you've done this before. As I tell myself, oh, you did your part. You did your part. You prepared. You know what to say. Okay, you went through this 3 times. You're good. Okay, positivity, you will be okay. So I tell myself that, okay lang yan, you'll be okay. Kaya nga na pinanganak yung adja-adja, no? So that is a war cry. You will be okay. And then yung last, you're loved. You're still loved. No matter what will happen, someone loves you. And I have to say these things to myself so I can build up my confidence before I tackle a huge task. So again, I hope you find it a little bit helpful then. Now, whenever you're faced with a huge task na you have to undertake, talk to yourself, do this, no? Nakakatawa nga kasi growing up, no, pag sinabi nilang crazy person, sila lagi na sinasabi, kinakausap niya yung sarili niya like it's a bad thing. Pero I'm grateful na kahit paano nabago na yung thinking na yon, na we can talk about self-talk in the Philippines na hindi na iniisip na it's just the crazy people who do that. Okay, we have to rethink things nga, like I said. So do this, talk to yourself in front of a mirror. You can write it on a sheet of paper, i-blue tack ninyo sa inyong mirror, tapos gawin yung mantra, okay lang din. Okay, and that can help build your confidence. Now next, we're going to go to calculated risk-taking and how can you become a calculated risk-taker. Okay, now it's hard to talk about risks sa group ng accountants kasi I know you really took a deep dive dito sa school. So I'll rely a lot on the psych side na lang at saka my personal experience when it comes to this. But let me share this quote to you, no? Sabi daw ni Mahatma Gandhi, and this is the part that a lot of people know, live as you were to die tomorrow. Now, the problem with this quote is most people would quote this part lang, tas pinuputol nila when in fact may kasunod yan na line which is learn as if you were to live forever. So, ibig sabihin when we look at risks, dapat din calculated risks. Hindi lang basta risk. Okay? Hindi ka lang risk taker for the sake of taking risks or blindly going about your life. We have to live as if we were to die tomorrow, but learn as if you were to live forever. May balance dyan. Okay? Hindi YOLO life. It's hindi lang basta carpe diem. It's all about, again, making the most of every opportunity. Now, how do we do that? Now, let me offer up to you itong problem-solving process ko. And I try to do this with everything. So, even yung mga pinakamaliliit na bagay, like wala yung gusto kong order sa restaurant, wala yung favorite kong food na gusto kong kainin, hanggang dun sa big things like family problems, relationship issues, business decisions, I try my best na ganito. Kahit sa mga problema ng bansa, this is the way I think and rethink things. So the first part is what is now. So it's all about acknowledging the situation and being very honest about it. So you're not trying to deny the situation or the gravity of the situation. You're actually trying to look at it objectively and look at the entire picture. Now, how do we do that in the context of risk-taking? There are a lot of options. Yung pinaka-obvious, di ba, na people always say is yung, like, list the pros and cons. So make a list of the positive things and negative things when it comes to decision-making, risk-taking, look at everything. Now, if mas marami yung positive kaysa sa negative, then go. Mas marami negative kaysa sa positive, then don't. Okay? Now, this is a very simple way of looking at things. And again, people find this effective. Sa akin lang, dahil overthinker din ako, hindi siya enough for me. Kasi pag sinabi natin positive tsaka negative, there is a way for me to cheat the list by including, alam niyo, more things dun sa part na kinikilingan ko talaga. And when you look at a list, like just a list like that, may mga bagay that hold more weight. Di ba? May mga bagay na mas meaningful. So, ibig sabihin nun, yung value ng positive na pwedeng mangyari o positive outcome may be heavier than the negative. So, kahit na isa lang yung positive outcome, maraming negative, pero willing ka i-take yun kasi yung positive is so heavy. Parang pag umiinom tayo ng gamot, di ba? Kasi lahat naman ng gamot may negative side effects. So, kung may listahan ka lang ng negative side effects versus yung you'll get better, yung you'll get better, isa lang ang positive effect nun eh. Pero you were willing to choose that above yung mahabang list of negative side effects simply because it has more value. So sa akin, yung list ng pros and cons, it's not something na I'm na effective, hindi siya effective sa akin masyado. Kasi nga, again, overthinker ako. But again, for other people, that's okay. And okay lang yun. Wala namang judgment, no? Pick out what works for you. Now, another way of looking at things would be to look at the risk matrix. I just grabbed and simplified yung diagram posted on the blog sa link sa baba. Simplify ko lang kasi para mas madali siyang tingnan. Pero the idea is, you look at the likelihood of things happening at saka yung impact niya. Ibig sabihin, yung posibilidad na mangyari yung isang bagay at saka kung gaano kalala yung posibleng mangyari. So, dito muna tayo sa left side, no, dun sa ating likelihood. So, ang likelihood, merong improbable, possible, at saka probable. Now, the idea would be, ang improbable, it's not likely na mangyayari. Possible is, again, posibleng mangyayari. And then probable would be, mas malamang sa alamang, yun yung saying, di ba? Mas malamang sa alamang na mangyayari siya. Okay? Now, if we look at these things, again, it's all about the likelihood of something happening, of the outcome happening. But it's not enough that you're looking at things na posibleng mangyari. Titinan din natin yung impact. Ibig sabihin, gaano kalala yung posible niyang maging effect. So, meron tayong 4 na column: acceptable, tolerable, unacceptable, tsaka intolerable. Ang acceptable, ibig sabihin, good, all good tayo. Acceptable yung risk na yan. Tolerable, ibig sabihin, hindi siya sobrang good, pero kakayanin. Unacceptable, ibig sabihin, again, medyo erring na tayo dun sa, hindi tayo okay with the situation. Tapos yung intolerable, ibig sabihin, uncompromisable na yan. Kasi pag nangyari yan, red zone, hindi na acceptable, hindi na siya worth it. Okay? So, we look at things on a spectrum and on a scale. Now, the idea of the risk matrix, meron din siyang color. Ibig sabihin nun, if you look at the red zone, these are things na parang, kumbaga sasabihin natin, it's not worth it. if nagpo-fall siya dito. If something is possible na mangyari and it's intolerable, we say no to that. If it's probable na mangyari, tapos intolerable yung pwedeng result, we say no. Now, let's take something as simple as, ano yun, magpag-zipline. Nakapag-zipline na ba kayo before? No? So, yung pag-zipline kasi, it's risky behavior, right? Now, ano ang posibleng mangyari? Ano yung intolerable na bagay na pwedeng mangyari kapag nag-zipline ka? Well, the most obvious answer would be death, right? Na pag nag-zipline ka, tapos may nangyaring hindi maganda, you would die kasi malalaglag ka sa cliffs. No? Na dahil intolerable yung possibility, and intolerable yung risk na yon, if it is at all possible, you say no. If it's probable, of course, definitely you say no. Pero kung improbable naman kasi meron ka namang safety gear, tapos di ba minsan yung mga kuya sa mga ganong klaseng adventure rides, they would say, ay ma'am, wala pa naman po nadidisgrasya dito, no? Tapos yung mom ko would always joke na, wala pa. Ibig sabihin, baka ako yung una. Ganyan yung joke ng mom ko. Ang ibig sabihin nun is ito, nandito siya sa orange zone. So it's improbable, it's intolerable, ayaw natin mamatay, pero improbable naman na mangyari kasi nga again, all the safety precautions were done, at least nasa orange zone na siya. So pwede na siyang acceptable na siya kahit papaano na i-take yung risk na yon. So we do this exercise for whatever you're facing right now para magkaroon ka ng idea sa where things fall. So, hindi na lang siya basta pros and cons. We're now looking at things on a deeper level. Okay? So, I hope that kind of helps visualize things for you. Para when we make decisions, it's like that. But again, it's not just for the little things. It can be for the big things. If we're talking about, okay, mag-shift ba ako ng course? Right? Ano yung mga intolerable na risks? Ano yung mga probable, possible na risks? If I am going to, for example, sa akin, quit my job and pursue content creation full-time, ano yung mga pwedeng mawala? Ano yung mga bagay na hindi na posibleng mangyari? Ano yung bagay na imposibleng mangyari? Okay? So again, you have to be honest with yourself when you do this. So hopefully, at least, that helps give us an idea about what is now. Ano yung sitwasyon ngayon? Okay? Now, you don't need to do the entire table naman every time, but if you keep practicing it, it'll be faster for you to realize things. It's all about helping you organize your thoughts. Okay? And now that you have a full view of the problem, now you've acknowledged all of the risks, ang question now would be, now what? Anong gagawin natin about it? Now, here's my series ng maipapayo sa inyo. When it comes to reducing yung risk, there are things that you could do. Number one, automate what you can. Kasi alam natin na if may benefit man ang technology, ang machinery, ang automation sa program, it's that nawawala or nababawasan yung possibility ng human error. So automate what you can. Okay? Para again, you have this external thing that's helping you out. Another thing you could do would be to anticipate what may happen. Ibig sabihin, hindi pa nangyayari, and when you're taking risks, dapat i-anticipate mo na yung mga possibilities. I do this a lot, like when I make decisions, I would tell Zandy, kasi Zandy really is my right-hand woman, no? Pag kunyari gagawa kami ng major business decision, or kung kunyari, I have to pick and choose kung aling mga invitations I have to say yes to and alin yung I have to say no to kasi sabay sila ng time slot. I would always tell her na, wait lang, I'm running scenarios. So, ang idea nun is, in my head, I run scenarios about yung mga things na kailangan kong gawin, yung mga possibilities and things na posibleng mangyari, posibleng hindi mangyari. And then, that is what helps me when it comes to my decision making. So this is a huge part of it. Anticipate what may happen. Like the best case scenario, the worst case scenario. And then avoid what you could. Dito na papasok yung preparation. Again, if you have guardrails, if you have safeguards set up, at least mababawasan yung possibility na hindi maganda yung magiging turnout. And then when it actually happens, you have to accept what happens. Okay? Again, part yan ng proseso. But it doesn't end there. You have to analyze what happened. Ano yung magandang nangyari, ano yung hindi magandang nangyari. This is one of the most tedious parts ng task. And a lot of organizations, a lot of groups, a lot of events planning groups, yung mga ganun, mga companies, they fail to do this kasi pagod na sila. Pagod ka na sa execution ng event. But, okay, and I know you probably would do this then after you finish your series of events, no? You really have to analyze what happened kasi this is where you learn. This is where you learn your weaknesses, where you learn the things that you have to do the next time. Kasi ang kasunod na yan would be to adjust what you must. So if we did this right, let's do it again. If we did it wrong, let's not do this. So bakit ganun? Kasi ako, this is something that I keep telling my students, no, everything is a learning experience. From the good, you learn what to do. From the bad, you learn what not to do. So things may not turn out exactly the way that you want them to, but the beauty of it is that you can learn from it. So from the good, learn what to do. From the bad, learn what not to do. Part of growing up is knowing that even if there are bad things that happen to us, there are bad things that bad people do to us, we have to, after acknowledging the situation and feeling our emotions and dealing with it, we have to move past it and learn from it and be better people. This is how we actually improve humanity. No? Para hindi tayo stuck on the mistakes of the past. Now, so again, everything's a learning experience. Hopefully that changes things a little bit for you. Now, the question would be, how do you do all that? Now, I'm sharing this part here kasi I'm going to try to be honest with you. No? This is a question na laging tinatanong sa akin. When it comes to my experiences, my expertise, no? A lot of people ask me, how do I do all that? Ang ibig sabihin, kasi I have a family, of course. This is me and my sisters. I have a dog, si Hailey, and if any of you have a dog, you know, it's a huge responsibility. Hindi na siya puppy ngayon, ganyan na siya kalaki, no? Actually, mas malaki pa nga dyan. I have this, so I do webinars, I do talks, I have speaking engagements, I make art on the side, so I sculpt, I paint, I do what I can. I play the drums. I used to play the drums full time sa church then. I have 1 million subscribers on YouTube and everywhere else. I have Facebook pages and I have 2 podcasts. So yeah, dalawa sila. And I'm actually excited kasi both of them are in the top 200 sa list ng Spotify. And yung Trying Hard playlist is slowly crawling out yung way niya up to the top of the list. Now, how do I do all this? The truest answer sa lahat ng yan is that I don't. And I'm being honest with you kasi I know a lot of people would tell you na, hindi, dapat when it comes to chasing your dreams, dapat all or nothing ka lagi. Dapat, you become everything. So, dapat best student ka, best student leader ka. Dapat mabuti kang anak. Dapat yung grades mo, lahat yan uno. And because of these expectations or because of these idea na we have to be everything all at the same time, nape-pressure tayo masyado minsan. Okay? And because we sometimes fail, we are too hard on ourselves. And lalo na ngayon sa gitna tayo ng pandemic and nasa gitna tayo ng adjustment. I know ang online learning is really a new thing for most of us, no? How can we help alleviate yung fear na yon or yung anxiety na dinudulot nun? Now, ang pinakaambag ko would be to be 100% honest with you that even if people look at me na, oh, si Coach Lyqa yan, parang she has everything set up in her life. I'm telling you this, I don't do everything. Okay? Hindi lahat ito ay ako ngayon. Now, bakit ko sinasabi yun? Kasi again, like I said kanina, I used to play the drums at church. I'm unable to do that right now because my ministry is now this. Okay? Ibig sabihin, marami namang ibang drummer dyan na gustong tumugtog. Matagal ko nang pinaubaya yun sa kanila. I was the first drummer sa CCF Commonwealth when it was planted, nung nagsimula siya. Pero nung dumadami na yung mga volunteers sa music ministry, alam niyo naman mga youth mahilig tumugtog. So I knew I had to step down. I was one of the volunteers and I was the editor for the Chronicle. It was yung parang newsletter naman for the church. Pero nung marami ng volunteers and kaya na nila, I also left the ministry. Kasi again, may mga gumagawa na nun eh. So I had to move to another aspect, a different part of my life. We are not supposed to be rock stars at everything if it's not our calling. So that's my take on that. Sa sculpting din, medyo matagal na akong hindi nakakagawa because wala akong time. So I had to prioritize things. So now, of course, I prioritize my family. I prioritize Hailey. Diba? Kasi kailangan niya ako, so I had to let her out kanina. I prioritize new projects. I made my promise na it's going to be 1 new math video every Monday and 1 new English video every Wednesday. I also have to prioritize that. But I am not all of this all at the same time. And dahil I'm with you right now, may mga bagay akong hindi kayang gawin. Kasi I had to make that decision. So I hope you give yourself the liberty to do that then. So you cannot do everything all the time, but you can do everything in its time. And that is a good way then of looking at risks in life. The thing is, walang 100% certain. Okay? So what does that mean? You shouldn't be afraid of losing a battle to win the war. Nothing is certain in life. Ibig sabihin, you can do all of these things that I offered up to you. You can try your best to prepare. Okay? Gagawin mo lahat. You'll plug all the holes, organize lahat. Pero hindi mo masasabi 100% na magsasucceed pa rin ng lahat. Walang for certain. Walang sure sa buhay. Walang assured na victory. Okay? And alam natin yan because we love that. Being humans. One of the reasons bakit love na love natin yung basketball as a nation is the line na Diyos sabi na bilog ang bola. Ibig sabihin nun, pwedeng tambak kayo ng hanggang fourth quarter, pero yung last 10 minutes ng game, bigla kayong bumawi, at mananalo ka pa. Pwede kang manalo sa buzzer beater, pwede mo itay yung game sa last few seconds of the game. So ibig sabihin, nothing is certain. And you know what? That is also beautiful. It's okay. It's okay na hindi sure ang lahat ng bagay. Na you can prepare everything and still fail. It's okay because it's what makes what seems impossible possible. Ibig sabihin nun, if success is not certain, ibig sabihin, failure isn't certain din. Na kahit anong mangyari, meron kang shot. May possibility of success kahit na something looks impossible or something looks improbable. Bakit? Kasi nga, wala namang sure eh. So kung hindi ka sure na mananalo, hindi ka rin sure na mag-fail. So there's always this possibility. And if we sum up that phrase, it's really one word, which is hope. Because things are uncertain, hope persists. And I don't know about you, but in my life, I see that. And even if it's out of my control, I think that's beautiful. No? Parang meme, no? And that's beautiful. Okay? So, I'll wrap it up with this, no? It's the myth of opposites. A lot of times, we look at things sa either-or perspective. Yung false dichotomy na yan, it's in politics, it's in things, it's in concepts, no? And ideals. Pero, we have to rethink things. Ibig sabihin nun, before, siguro akala natin, you have to choose between being scared or being courageous. You have to choose between being prepared or confident. Kasi sabi nila, diba, pag confident yan, hindi na nagpe-prepare. So, in order for you to be called confident, dapat, hindi mo kailangan mag-prepare. In order for you to be smart, dapat hindi ka nag-review, pero mataas yung grades mo. Pero we have to rethink that. And then, yung choice between being eager to win or ready to fail. Diba? Yung sinasabi nila na hindi, kailangan 100% sure ka na mananalo ka, kung hindi, mag-fail ka. Now, I'm going to propose this, no? Instead of looking at things na parang nasa opposite sides sila, we can rethink things pagdating sa paradoxical na truths sa buhay. Okay? Pag sabi natin paradox, ibig sabihin mukha silang opposite pero hindi. Pero pwede sila mag-exist on the same plane. Ibig sabihin naman we can change yung and into or. So it has to be and, not or. Ibig sabihin, when we're faced with a choice, being scared or being courageous, we can choose to be scared and courageous. Even if we're scared, we push on. That is courage. When it comes to choosing between being prepared and being confident, it's really not a choice. You can be both. You can be prepared as heck, okay? As in-effortan mo lahat. You did all you could. And be confident. Because doon nga nanggagaling kadalasan yung confidence. So even if trying hard ka sa work, trying hard ka sa school, okay lang yan. Okay? You're still confident because you are preparing. You don't have to choose just one. And then dun sa last part, being eager to win at saka ready to fail, you can also be both. Like we do our best, we believe that there is a possibility of winning, but we are also ready if in case we fail. So you can also be both. Again, you don't have to choose just one. These things can coexist at the same time. Okay? Now, I'll leave you with this. It's a line I tell all of the people that I come across with, lalo na sa panahon ngayon, who you become means more than what you become. So no matter what happens, and again, all of the things that I shared to you today, I hope you take it to heart, hindi lang sa utak, no? Hindi lang kayo, hindi nyo lang gagawin to get higher grades or to do better projects, no? But I hope you emerge as better individuals. Like if you emerge dito sa conversation na to, acknowledging who you are, wanting to become more and being ready to take that journey, then I've done my part. Then this time is worth it. Okay? So who you become means more than what you become, no matter what. I hope you learned something from this. I hope you emerge as better individuals, be better leaders for the next generation. And I'm excited for that possibility. Okay? And if you have any other questions na medyo mas personal, I think I'm not sure if you have time for a Q&A today, But if you want to reach out to me directly, these are my social media handles. Find me na lang online so we can talk. Okay? So thanks for your time today, and yan muna for now.
Thank you po, Coach Lyqa, for that knowledgeable talk. I know that you was able to impart a lot of lessons for our future CPAs and other viewers in the Facebook Live. And now we will open the floor for the questions from our delegates that is watching in our Facebook Live. So JPIAns, you can now comment your questions or clarifications on our comment section. Ayan po, may isa na po tayong tanong from Janine Mendoza. Ay, hindi po pala. Sinabi po pala niya yung, nirecode niya po pala yung sinabi niyo kanina na who you become means more than what you become no matter what. So, sobrang tumatak po siguro sa kanya yung line niyo po or yung lesson niyo po for that. So, JPIAns, you can now comment your questions. I know that Coach Lyqa will be open to answer all of your questions.
Favorite part ko sa totoo lang yung events na ganito, yung question and answer. Kasi like I get a lot of beautiful questions, wonderful questions, things I haven't even thought about from students. So if you have any questions, just ask.
Yes po. So JPIAns, ito na yung chance nyo to ask Coach Lyqa. So don't waste your chance to ask questions for our speaker for today. So ayan po, aside from questions, there are a lot of thank you po from our Facebook Live. So sobrang ang dami po nilang natutunan from you. They are saying thank you so much, Coach. They learned so much and God bless daw po. And from Joanna Marie, thank you. Ate Lyqa, laking tulong po ng videos nyo, especially no set. I also learned something meaningful ngayon. Thank you po. So, JPIAns, ask your questions now. It is your chance to ask Coach Lyqa.
Yes, no, partner. Alam mo ba, yung tumatak sa aking words ni Coach Lyqa is yung walang assured na victory. Nothing is certain now. But that is beautiful because it what makes impossible possible. Yun yung tumatak sa akin sinabi ni Coach Lyqa. And I hope our JPIAns that is watching right now, which is 300 na ang ating JPIAns na nanonood sa Facebook Live.
So yan, may isa na po tayong tanong from Eliza Mabulak. Paano niyo po nalaman ang life purpose niyo?
Okay. Walang one fixed answer dito. Pero dahil sinabi mo naman life purpose ko, I would say that it was a journey getting to this point. Ang pinaka-simplified na version would be, I saw a need. Okay? I felt the need, and then I tried to address the need. Ibig sabihin nun, I saw the need for people to have access to free education. Simply dahil nag-top ako ang start talaga nun is nag-top ako nag-top ako ng civil service exam. And hindi ko siya pinlano, hindi ko siya ginusto, hindi ako nag-prepare for it. It happened. And then I asked God nung lumabas yung results, na-confirm na namin. Sabi ko, Lord, bakit ako top 1? Hindi ko naman siya gagamitin kasi wala akong plano na mag-work sa gobyerno. Both of my parents already work for the government. Sabi ko, ayokong gumaya sa kanila kasi ang mom ko, dad ko lagi nag-overtime, di ba? Tapos pag may issue sa gobyerno, inaaway sila. So, ayoko ng ganung buhay. Masyadong dedicated sila. My mom is also an accountant. So, ayoko ng ganun. Kaya hindi ako excited na nag-take ng civil service. And then the answer came after when I saw na ang dami pa lang hindi nakakapasa ng civil service exam. Tapos ang tagal na nila nag-work sa government. And the reason ba't hindi sila makapasa sa exam is kasi may mga learning gaps. Alam na natin yan, sa eskwelahan may mga bagay na hindi naturo ng maigi or hindi natutunan ng estudyante ng maigi kasi it works both ways. No? And I had to fill that need. So again, I saw the need, my need for educational content. I felt the need kasi nakita ko yung mga tao. Biruin mo, halos kasabay sila ng mom ko na pumasok sa gobyerno. Nasa 30 years in the service, hindi pa rin sila nakakakuha ng benefits, hindi pa rin sila regular sa trabaho. Simply dahil hindi sila nakapasa sa isang exam. Samantalang, sabi nga ng mom ko, kaya nila magpatakbo ng isang buong department. Kasi alam na nila yung ginagawa nila eh. Yung exam lang na yun ang naging hindrance. And because I felt the need for it, I started actually teaching muna a few people who would come sa bahay. And then, dahil hindi na siya enough, I started creating the videos na rin. So, it was a series of happy accidents, pero now we're here. So, that could be a good start. Like, find something that you care about, feel the need, empathize with the people who are there, and then find solutions that you can work with, and then start doing it.
Thank you po. And another question po from Gian Sejas. What if po you're in a situation where you have to win and there's no room for failure? How to handle the situation and the pressure?
Again, no, it's the paradox, the truth paradox. Na when we say na there's no option but to win, the idea here would be just to rethink kung ano yung definition natin ng battle at saka ng war. Like I said kanina, di ba? It's okay to lose the battle or a battle or a couple of battles if you win the war. Hindi yung isang problema lang na yun yung magde-define ng rest of your life kasi there will be other battles after that. So, kung sasabihin natin na wala akong choice but to win, are we talking about just a battle or the entire war? Kasi you can lose this one thing and still win in the long term. That is going to help alleviate your fear, your anxiety, and also help you prepare for the situation. Ayoko na maisip ninyo na parang pag hindi ako pumasa sa exam na to or pag hindi ako pumasa sa SEM na ito or sa subject na ito, it's going to be the end of me. And I am saying that because I used to believe na ganun eh. Ganun yung thinking ko noon. Kaya nga nag-spiral ako eh. Nung ako ay first year, second year in college. And I don't want you to think that way. Lalo na nasa gitna tayo ng crisis. Ibig sabihin nun, even if pag bumagsak ako dito, I lose my scholarship. Ito this is a hard truth. Pero it's also a real possibility. If it happens and nawala yung scholarship mo, it's going to be extra hard, but it's not the end of the world. Bakit? You can find other sponsors. You can find other opportunities. You can start working. Kasi you will have to pay for your tuition na eh. Kasi hindi wala ka ng scholarship eh. It's going to be harder, but it's still going to be possible. So, yun nga. Just think of it that way. Wala namang absolute na, okay, ito na yung katapusan ng lahat. Unless health issue talaga yan or immediate na risk as in life-threatening. So, I don't want you to feel unnecessary pressure if it's not true.
Okay, we have another question po from Alexander Santos. What's the most important risk that you took and why?
Ano ba? Important? Mahirap kasi yung definition important, no? Pero what I say would be the greatest risk I took was quitting law school, leaving my job, like halting my entire career to go into this content creation. Kasi I started creating videos on YouTube, yung educational content, 2014 or 2015. At the time, ang mga top creators yata natin sa Pilipinas, nasa 100,000 subscribers lang. Ibig sabihin nun, ang gumagamit ng YouTube, napaka-kaunti. Hindi career ang maging YouTuber. Kasi nga, again, this was years ago. So, nung nagsimula ako, nung nag-decide ako, I told my family na, can you give me a year? I will start creating content lang. If I actually talked to my mom, sabi ko, pag nagutom po ako, pag hindi ko kayang buhayin yung sarili ko, I'll go back to working sa corporate. Or I'll go back to law school, whatever you want for me. Kahit mag-work ako sa government, kung yun ang, if it's what it takes, okay na sa akin. So that was the biggest risk that I took. But again, it's not a blind risk naman. What I knew then, making that decision would be I would have to work extra hard. I used to film 16 videos in a day. I had to build up the library. I would take odd jobs. As in, ito nagtuturo na ako sa YouTube, pero dahil nga wala masyadong kita sa AdSense, lalo na nagsisimula pa, gumagawa ako ng mga hikaw, yung clay, ng polymer clay. I would sell it sa Etsy shop ko. I would make ends meet. Nag-host ako ng events, mga binyag, kasal, burol, ganun. Para makadagdag, pambili ng equipment. So I had to take all of these things because I was believing in my purpose. So it's a risky choice, but it's not a blind risk.
And yes, from Miss Donna Bandoja po, Coach Lyqa, any tips po to overcome the fear of public speaking?
Again, no, I hope you caught yung first part ng talk, pero nandun din siya naka-revolve. It's gaining confidence when it comes to public speaking. It's all about gaining experience, like knowing na, okay, nagsimula ako na mag-report sa harap ng mga classmates ko lang. or nag-report ako sa harap ng nanay ko lang or sa harap ng kapatid ko lang para i-criticize ako. Kinaya ko naman yun, so okay na rin. I'll just share this anecdote, no? When I was starting na magturo sa college, one of the first na subjects na pinaturo sa akin was business English. Simply because wala na yatang sa salon nung subject na yun, nung time na yun. Kasi psych major ako, di ba? Kaya lang dahil may HR background ako and the course was designed for fresh graduates na gustong mag-prepare for work, binigay nila sa akin. And ang ginawa ko, dinesign ko yung course specifically for that. So meron silang simulated na phone interview, yung resume writing nila, tas hanggang final interview, yun yung finals nila sa akin. Meron silang final interview sa akin. At dahil takot na takot yung mga estudyante ko sa akin, kasi alam nila strict ako eh. Takot na takot sila sa akin, so they really prepared well, no? Sabi nila, after a few more years, and some of them are still very dear to me, one of them is working in UAE right now. And ano na siya, 4 years na siya doon. Mas matagal na siya doon. Sabi niya sa akin kasi she fondly calls me nanay. Sabi niya, alam mo nanay, hindi ko talaga makakalimutan. Takot na takot ako nung nag-mock interview ako sa'yo. Pero dahil kinaya kita, kahit sino na nag-interview sa akin after, kahit mga boss ng kumpanya, mga CEO ng kumpanya, kasi head na siya sa admin doon sa office nila, big deal na siya ngayon sa UAE. Kahit sino na nagtatanong sa akin, okay na sa akin kasi kinaya kita eh. Yun yung idea when it comes to public speaking and everything else actually, in gaining confidence. Try to have these small milestones hanggang mag-gain mo yung confidence para sa susunod, mani na yan kasi kinaya ko na yung mahirap dati. Yeah.
Yes po. Another one from Mylene Pido. What must we do if our passion simply vanish in the middle of you doing it?
Okay, so again, no, and I think I already made a bunch of videos about this. Passion is different from purpose, and motivation is more than an emotion, no? I know how it feels. Na parang ganado ako to do this, tapos bigla na lang one day nagising ako, wala akong gana. Now, if you look at passion as that, na it's just purely an emotional drive to get you started, it's really never going to be enough. Because I will tell you this for a fact. And for certain, you look at the people who are successful in their fields, ask them, are you passionate every day? When you wake up in the morning every day, do you feel passionate about what you do? They probably would say na hindi. And I know I was looking through your speakers then from yesterday. One of them already mentioned the quote that I love from our wushu champion, no? Na it's really discipline, hard work, perseverance, kahit na yung feeling mo doesn't go with it. Yun yung sikreto ng success. So if you wake up one day na you're not passionate about something, pwede mong itulog muna, tas baka bukas, maging mas better yung feeling. Or, you can just choose to do what's good. Kasi even if you don't feel like it, it's an investment into your dream. So that's how I look at things. Like, if wala akong ganang gawin ngayon, okay lang, pwede akong matulog, pwede akong magpahinga, bukas ko gagawin, or I can choose to do it kahit na wala yung feelings ko because I know na ito ay investment dun sa gusto kong mangyari in the long run. So, yun yung options that you have.
For our last question po, if ang question niyo po is, ginawa niyo na po yung lahat and alam mo na gusto mo yung ginagawa mo, but in the end, yung result is not what you expected and super layo sa naiisip mo. What can we do po in such matter?
You know, actually may beauty dun sa possibility na yun eh. Na yung pinrepare mo lahat, in-anticipate mo yung posibilidad, tapos something unique and totally different happens. Ang ibig sabihin lang nun, you're going to learn something really new. Okay? Hindi na ma-reinforce yung mga dati mong alam. This is going to be a new parang frontier for you. And I'm saying that because actually nasa ganong season ako ng life ko ngayon. Kasi when I started out, hindi ko pinlano na magiging ganito siya. Na magwa 1 million subscribers. Or na I will be put sa harap ninyo ngayon. All I wanted to do, honestly, when I started out was to keep making videos and actually keep my anonymity. Kasi I value my privacy a lot. Pero dahil nandito na yung sitwasyon, it's something new and I didn't expect this to happen. What do I do with it? The idea would be to learn new things and if it really doesn't work out, to dream new dreams. Kasi minsan, like we have this thinking, and I know it's the last question, so I'll leave you with this. You have this thinking that if things don't work out, it's because kulang ako. Kulang ako para dun sa pangarap ko or kulang ako para dun sa plano ko na gusto kong mangyari. So yung kakulangan rests in me. When in fact, sometimes things don't work out because your dream was actually too small for you. It wasn't because you were too small for your dream. It was because your dream was too small for you. So you can think of it that way. Like maybe kaya siya hindi nag-work out because something bigger yung pwedeng mangyari. And this is just, God. In my case, I believe in God, so I say God. This is life preparing me for something bigger. Kasi that's what happened to me. All I wanted was a simple white picket fence life. Like get married, get settled, and then be a private individual. But that wasn't the dream for me. So God had a bigger purpose. I had to be the bigger person.
Yes, thank you so much po, Coach Lyqa. I know na marami kayong na-inspired na viewers natin from the Facebook Live. And thank you as well, JPIAns, for your active participation during our discussion. Now, I'll be reading the citation for the Certificate of Appreciation for our speaker. So, National Federation of Junior Philippine Institute of Accountants Region 4 Council and the SyCip Gorres, Velayo and Company, or the SGV and Company, special thanks to Gardenia Bakeries Philippines. This certificate of appreciation is hereby presented to Coach Lyqa Maravilla, RPM, for sharing her time, expertise, knowledge as the guest speaker for the leadership training webinar with the theme Resilience, an Emerging Trait of 21st Century Leaders in Dealing with the COVID-19 Pandemic of the National Federation of Junior Philippine Institute of Accountants Region 4, given this 15th day of November 2020. So signed by our Regional Vice President for Leadership, Development, and Socio-Civic Involvement, Mr. Mark Jason Romaraod, our Regional Council President, Ain Caitlin Aguinaldo, our Regional Co-Advisors, John Jeric Fernandez and Maria Lea Orgelies, and also by our Regional Advisor, Mr. George Matthew Makatangay, CPA PSM. So thank you so much po, Miss Coach Lyqa.